Hey, it's Allison Gutwein with the Zionsville Chamber of Commerce, and today we are here with the Ladybug doing bat remediation in a Century structure. So tell us about this project. This is a really cool project.
It is. A lot of bats up there, and the process that we're taking is we're closing up some entry and exit points and putting in one-way doors and trying to get the bats to fly out at night.
So what does it take to get a bat outside, not to go back in?
Well, first, you got to find where it's going in and out. You kind of look for a lot of oily staining and a lot of droppings down below on the exterior. But you also have to close up any entry point a 1/4 inch or larger.
A quarter inch?
Yes, that's all they need.
A size of a pencil eraser.
Yeah.
That's tiny.
That's really tiny.
They don't give up.
I'm assuming so, if they can fit in something that tiny, and especially with a Century structure, you're talking about a lot of holes.
Yeah.
A lot.
So this is a lot of investigative work to figure out, okay, well, they've been going in and out of this one. Now we have to close up all these that you can barely see.
Yes.
And these specific bats, this specific project that we're working with, we believe there's over 1,000 in this structure.
Whoa, wait,
Yeah,
1,000 bats?
Over 1,000 bats.
Wow.
Yes.
As we start this process of removing the bats, they're going to be hanging out for a long time, just really confused on where to go next, and they'll make their way into the woods and into other openings that they find.
Once you've got this all sealed back up, okay, now you're looking at remediation of what's left behind whenever you've had years and years of bats. What's that going to take?
It's a long process for this one. A lot of times we go into certain homes. It's pretty easy because, they haven't been there for over, decades or anything.
Right.
But yeah, we basically have to scrub and clean every ceiling joist, truss, suck it all out, hazmat suits, full gear. It's very dangerous.
We're going to be in that today?
Definitely,
Whoa.
Yeah, no one goes in without the respirators.
Right. This is an ongoing process, and you've got bats coming out and you've got all of this coming out. You said this is going to take months.
Yeah, it could. Yeah.
And with this specific project, there's guano in the walls. So we're having to remove all the siding and clean out all the wall cavities.
Older buildings are just more fragile anyway. So.
Right. And the congregation, they take so much pride in with their members and their church. And they had no idea they were even having an issue until it was really just too late.
Yeah.
And we see that all the time. The number one call that we get is, we just had an inspection, we're selling our house, and the inspector found guano in the attic. They'll have no idea that they've had an infestation for years. Bats are really, really quiet.
So we're gonna suit up and go in.
Yeah.
We are.
Okay.
You excited?
I'm excited.
Should be.
So excited.
You look like a Q-tip.
Of all things that I've been called, that's not the worst.
Come on up.
Oh, cool. Wow. So, Johnny, what are we looking at?
What you're looking at here, several decades of bats kind of roosting in the top areas there. The stalactites is from their urine, building up over time. On the bottom, it's a mix of urine and guano down here that they're dropping as they're roosting up top. And then it just kind of trickles down. And then you get, bigger areas. It kind of builds up.
Sure. So what kind of bats have you been seeing in this structure?
Well, basically the little brown and the big brown, pretty common in this area. There is an Indiana bat, they call, but that's in several different states. It's not localized just to Indiana.
They don't stop at the border?
No, they don't settle on the border. No, they've been known to migrate all the way down to Mexico, and they actually pollinate, you know, the plant for that makes tequila, the agave.
Oh.
The Indiana bats, they go pretty far.
Important bats.
Yes, yeah. We gotta keep the Indiana bats
You
around.
gotta keep those around for margaritas.
Yes. Definitely.
Well, bats are endangered, aren't they?
They're federally and state protected.
That's it.
So yeah, they're a pretty big part of the ecosystem actually. So
Right, and I'm sure people will ask here, you guys are actually helping to make sure that these bats get out safely and
Correct.
can go find another habitat.
correct, exactly, yeah. They know exactly what to do. The average bat lives to be about 20 years old.
Oh,
So they're survivors. They can go through some pretty brutal weather.
and you were talking about this. Bats are mammals.
Yep, they're the only mammals that we have with wings.
Wow. You're looking at generations of bats that have probably been housed and bred here and are now native to our area as a result. That's actually
Definitely.
really cool.
Yes, definitely. The maternity season here, where we're at, from June 1st to August 15th, it's really not safe to remove bats. The adult bats can't get back to their young. You'll lock a bunch of young in the attic, and it can be a bad situation.
Yeah. So you've
Bad
waited
situation.
until later in the year, so then
Yes.
all the bats are flying.
Definitely. We could have done this a lot earlier, but we really need to wait to protect the bats.
Sure.
We need to do it the right way.
Right. And I think that that's fantastic because bats are one of nature's great ways of getting rid of mosquitoes.
Correct. Even though it really doesn't make a dent, noticeable dent, but yes, without bats, frogs, things like that eat bugs, it would be a pretty buggy world. It would be bad. So then we got another entry point here that goes to a higher, older section of the structure. This section here is kind of the older style roof. This is the newer style. And when I say new, I mean 1900s, that's 1800s.
Wow.
So there's a lot of history here. That side there, bigger stalactites, a lot more guano. We don't want any damage to the historical building. That's a big key in this whole process.
So what would it look like at night in here when 1,000 bats were living?
Pure chaos.
This room would be filled with flying bats.
Yes. Like a busy mall. Like a real busy mall.
Except with
mostly-
everything flying.
Yeah, so right in this area here, just for simple demonstration, if you want to be able to tell the difference between bat, guano, or squirrel, or mouse, or something like that, if you are in your attic space, always wear a glove. Always wear a glove, or always wear some kind of respirator if you're going into an attic, period. Okay? You can always tell. You can grab quite a bit of it. This is a larger case.
It looks like it almost looks like that fake snow in with it. It's shiny.
It's like a lot of crystals, like really crystallized. It's all the exoskeleton from all the insects that they eat. This is a little older batch, so it's a little bit harder, but you can crush them. And now mice droppings and squirrel droppings and things like that, they would be hard as a rock. You can't crush those. And it looks like a bunch of little diamonds.
Yeah,
You see my
it
hand?
does.
It's just,
Yeah, it almost looks like glitter.
yeah.
So tell me about what we're looking at. We've got a bat tube here,
Yes.
and we're nearly at the top of the structure. What is this over here that we're looking at?
This little spot here is one of the main areas they were going in and out. You can see a lot of the oily staining from their fur. Some of the urine staining kind of running down, some of the guano stuck to the side of the structure here. So that was a pretty good spot that we put in some one-way doors and things. This was another good spot where we watched them come out. There's a gap here, slipping in and out of there quite a bit. So we put a tube in there and they slid all out and then they couldn't get back in.
So little guys like this, they don't actually chew holes. All they're doing is finding holes to go in and out.
Right. Bats don't rip into things. They don't chew into things, even though they have big teeth. So you can use foam, things like that. Clear caulking, stuff like that would be fine.
To seal up those holes.
To seal up the holes there. This particular one. A lot of times we do things a lot cleaner, but considering all the sidings coming off and everything else, we foamed it real ugly stuff. Big ugly screws here and all that good stuff. So once, you know, they came out, then we'll remove everything and it'll be all nice and clean, and then we'll seal up everything to be unseen, clear caulking, very little foam, bent metal, nice stuff. You know, they're in the soffit so much, and I mean, you can just hear it and see it falling and
smell it.
Yep, it's horrible smell. So that was a pretty good spot.
Okay, so tell me about what we have here.
Well,
right there, those are bats.
Came out last night.
Yeah.
And now they're hanging outside and just, they don't know what to do right now. So they'll be gone in a few days, but they're just kind of hanging out in that little area. We've got a lot of ugly foam and all that good stuff there, blocking any of the other entry points, but
they just found a place to keep cool and
that's it.
and
Nice
to,
and shady.
Yeah, hang out for the moment. So this is what a bat looks like
Basically.
whenever he's out. And you hear that clicking noise. What is
Correct.
that clicking noise?
It's just their call, their distress call, warning calls, things like that. Pretty loud.
It is.
Yeah, they get all good and worked up, and I can see, you know, they got extremely sharp teeth.
Yeah.
Extremely sharp. This guy is not happy. He's definitely a biter. You got to wear pretty thick gloves when you handle these things. And you can see how big the wing is and how thin. So they got, you know, an index finger, they got a thumb, they got an elbow and whatnot here towards the back. Soft fur, extremely soft. But as you can tell, he is not happy. He is a biter.
Well, thank you to the Ladybug for letting me tag along today. It was really interesting to learn about how you're saving a century-old structure and how you can remediate bats while they're still flying around.
Thank you so much for joining us today.
I'm glad I could.
Have
This is awesome.
else see what we go through on a daily basis. So thank you so much.
Yeah, we're glad that we could. So thank you for joining us. Tune in for another edition of Working for You.